Ever wondered why a straw in a glass of water looks, well, bent? Or how a simple mirror creates a perfect copy of you? It's all about how light travels. And in this explainer, we are going to break down the two fundamental rules of light, reflection and refraction. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to tackle reflection. You know, the simple bounce that makes all mirrors work. Then, we'll see what happens when we start to curve those mirrors, which is where things get really cool. After that, we'll switch from bouncing to bending with refraction, and that's going to unlock the secrets of lenses. And finally, I'll give you a super simple cheat sheet to put it all together. Let's do this. Okay, first up, reflection. This is probably the simplest thing light does, but don't be fooled. It's the principle behind every single mirror you've ever looked into. So, what even is reflection? It's literally just light hitting a smooth surface, like a mirror, and bouncing off. But here's the thing. It's not random at all. That bounce is incredibly predictable, and it follows two really simple, really consistent laws. And here they are, the two laws. Law number one, the angle the light comes in at is the exact same angle it goes out at. Seriously, think of it like a perfect bank shot in a game of pool. It's that precise. And law number two, the incoming ray of light, the reflected ray, and an imaginary line we draw straight out from the surface, physicists call this the normal, they all lie on the same flat surface. That's it. Those two rules explain every reflection you will ever see. Okay, so flat mirrors, simple enough. But what happens when we start to curve that surface? Well, that's where things get really, really interesting. This leads us to two main types of mirrors, concave and convex. All right, here's a super easy way to remember this. A concave mirror is curved inward, just like a cave you could walk into. Its job is to take parallel rays of light and converge them, basically bring them all together at a single point. A convex mirror, it does the exact opposite. It bulges out, and it causes those same parallel light rays to spread out or diverge. So one brings light together, the other pushes it apart. Simple as that. Now check this out. This shows us the little dance between an object and its image in a concave mirror. So look at the blue line. When an object is super far away, we call that infinity. Its image is just a tiny dot at the focus, or point F. But watch what happens. As the object moves closer, say to that point labeled C, the image moves away from the mirror and gets bigger, until they meet right there at C. This predictable relationship is exactly what makes these mirrors so powerful. So here's the quick summary for concave mirrors. Most of the time, they form what's called a real and inverted image. All that means is it's upside down. But, and this is a big but, there's one very special case. If you get an object really close to the mirror, inside its focal point, something amazing happens. The image suddenly flips upright and gets huge. It becomes a virtual image that looks like it's behind the mirror. This is exactly how a makeup or a shaving mirror work. And this is how we use that property in the real world. In a car headlight or torch, you place the little bulb right at the focus point. The mirror then catches all that light and shoots it forward as a super strong parallel beam. Or, remember trying to burn paper with the sun and a magnifying glass as a kid? Same idea here. The mirror converges all those sun rays onto one tiny spot, the focus, and concentrates all that heat. Now, compared to all those rules for concave mirrors, the convex mirror is just beautifully simple. It has one rule, and it never ever breaks it. It always and only forms an image that is virtual, erect, meaning upright, and diminished, meaning smaller. That's it. And that's exactly why they're used as rearview mirrors in cars. They give you a nice, upright, smaller image that lets you see a much wider area behind you. All right, so we've pretty much mastered what happens when light bounces. But what happens when light doesn't bounce? What if it passes through something, like a piece of glass or a cup of water? Well, that brings us to our next big topic, refraction.
Yeah, this is the big question, right? It's the bridge between the two halves of this whole thing. Reflection is a bounce. Refraction? Well, refraction is a bend.
So refraction is just the bending of light when it goes from one substance into another, like from air into water. Now, why does it bend? It's actually pretty simple, because light changes speed. I want you to imagine a car driving on a nice paved road, and then it hits a patch of mud at an angle. The first wheel that hits the mud slows way down, and that causes the whole car to turn, right? Light does the exact same thing. And hey, just like reflection, refraction has its own set of rules. The first one is basically the same. The incoming ray, the bent ray, and that imaginary normal line are all on the same flat plane. The second rule, though, is the important one. It's called Snell's law. And really, it's just a formula that tells us exactly how much that light is going to bend, depending on the two materials it's traveling through. Okay, so now that we get how light bends, we can talk about one of the most important tools in all of optics, lenses. And I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. If you understood curved mirrors, you already understand lenses. I'm serious. This right here is the key. It's all about parallels. A convex lens, the one that's thicker in the middle, it converges light. It behaves exactly like a concave mirror. And a concave lens, which is thinner in the middle, it diverges light, just like a convex mirror. So see, the shapes are opposites, but their functions, what they do to light, are basically the same. And because a convex lens acts like a concave mirror, the way it forms images follows the exact same pattern. For most object positions, you're going to get a real, inverted image. And yep, you guessed it. It also has that one special case. Place an object super close, and you get a magnified, virtual, and upright image. That's exactly how a magnifying glass works. And following that same logic, the simple concave lens behaves just like the simple convex mirror. It has one job and one job only: to produce a virtual, erect, and diminished image every single time. The consistency is what makes it so useful. Okay, you've got the concepts down cold. Now let's pull back the curtain just a little bit and look at the simple formulas physicists use to predict exactly where an image will form and how big it's going to be. Think of this as your cheat sheet to the math behind all this magic. This is the mirror formula. And trust me, it's way simpler than it looks. It just connects three things. F is the mirror's focal length. That's its natural gathering point. U is how far the object is from the mirror. And V is how far the image is from the mirror. The cool part is, if you know any two of those, you can always find the third. Now look at the lens formula. It's almost the exact same equation. What's the only difference? That little minus sign. For mirrors, it's a plus. For lenses, it's a minus. That is literally the only change you need to remember between the two. Right, but to use these formulas, we need to know whether to plug in positive or negative numbers. It's actually simple. First rule, the object distance, u, is always negative. For the focal length, f, just remember this one thing. Anything that converges light, so a convex lens or a concave mirror, is positive. Anything that diverges light is negative. That's pretty much the core rule you need. And finally, we have magnification, or M. Now, it tells you how big the image is, sure, but its sign is the real magic trick here. If you calculate M and it comes out as a negative number, the image is guaranteed to be real and inverted. If it's positive, the image is virtual and upright. The sign alone tells you everything you need to know about the image. No diagrams needed. And there you have it. From reflection to refraction, from mirrors to lenses, you now have the complete toolkit to understand the path of light. So the only question left is, now that you know the rules, where are you going to see them playing out in the world around you? Keep your eyes open.